I thought I healed this. Why is this coming up again? What's going on? This is probably the most common thing or complaint, so to speak, I hear from clients, that we're in a session and they've said, oh, I've worked on this issue so much, I've healed this completely, and then we go and explore and bam, there it is again, that same issue or emotion that they thought they had dealt with comes up again. And there's often a reaction of frustration, and confusion as to what's going on. So I wanted to address this a little bit to help people navigate this situation. What's going on and how can we get out of this kind of loop? The most important thing to know is that all emotional wounds, and especially, big ones, big traumas from our past, have many, many layers to them. And you can't process it all at once. It's far too much for the nervous system. So the nervous system will release sort of chunks of it, bit by bit. So you'll feel one layer of the emotion, of the emotional pain, and that will release, and then there'll be this big sense of spaciousness afterwards as that emotion transmutes. You'll move into relief and spaciousness, and it'll feel like you've healed the whole thing, because that's what happens when you really process something. There's this spaciousness and wholeness that you feel afterwards, and then people just make the assumption, oh, that's it. But in that space, there's then room for the next layer to come to the surface. And so a little bit down the line, it could be days, it could be months, could be years, that deeper layers will come up to be seen. And that's when they get confused. They don't realize that there are many, many layers that just kind of alternate. And as you feel through each one, you feel lighter and spacious, but that's not to say there aren't more layers to go. And they tend to get bigger as well, or can do. Not always the case, but they can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Plus, there are sometimes many different aspects to a given situation. So there might be a lot of anger you have at someone, for example, that in one session or in one, sitting down to work with yourself, you might work through a lot of that anger and feel like you've resolved that situation. But actually, underneath that anger, there's a whole lot of helplessness, for example, that at a later date will come to the surface as well. And it tends to be the case that the more you do this work, the more open and safer your nervous system feels. And so more stuff will rise to the surface. So sometimes you can work on certain things that will then open up a whole pocket of new material to come to the surface. And this is great. This is the healing process in action. But it's as people, the healing path is challenging, and people want, understandably, I just want to feel this thing and then it will be done. But it's just tends to not be the case. It's more like we feel something and we feel better and lighter, but then it opens up deeper and darker corners that then come to the surface, making us feel, less good for a while. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with what's happening. It is in fact an opportunity to go deeper. And before I say more about that, there's actually one more point I want to make on resistance. Just noticing how people phrase this is like, I thought I'd healed this. Why is this here again? You can feel the resistance to that experience in their voice. The energy of that is like, I don't want this to be here, and it shouldn't be here. And that's a protector part of you coming online to protect you against those, deeper emotions. Again, totally fine, totally innocent, but it's very useful to notice this. Because if that protector part is there, that means you're not fully allowing that emotion. And so you need to pay attention to that part of you that's frustrated that part's there. Maybe you feel ashamed that it's there. Maybe you're afraid that it's there. What does this mean? I felt it, but it's come back. Am I going to be stuck with this forever? Yeah, these are valid concerns, but we want to address that part that feels frustrated or afraid, right? And when we do that, then there's more space to fully allow that original, emotion we were looking at or trauma we were looking at. And then you can when you allow it more deeply, it can heal more deeply as well. So oftentimes, we just feel the surface of something and we're like, oh, thank God that's gone. And it comes up again. There's just this real strong resistance. And of course, nothing's going to heal or move in that situation. We need to just look at those protected parts first. So now going back, I was talking about it being an opportunity. It's really about the mindset here. Again, there's this sense of, oh, why is it coming here again? Why is it coming back again? Versus, oh, there's more gold to be mined from this seam. Because it's a glorious thing when these emotions come to the surface to be felt, because that's an opportunity to move towards, more lightness, more spaciousness, more wholeness in general, right? The more stuff comes up to feel, the lighter and more whole we are. And that attitude will get you a long, long way of like, okay, there's more gold to be mined here. Excellent. Let's go get the gold. Rather than this sense of like, I don't want to deal with this. That's so understandable, and I'm not suggesting you repress or deny that reaction that you're having, but just get curious about it. It's like, why am I saying, oh, I don't want this to be here? So that's just a few little thoughts on this. I notice it come up a lot, and that's why, and how you can maybe shift things to help your journey go deeper and faster. In fact. Because it's when we're resisting it, oh, why is this here? That's precisely when we're in a bit of a stuck place, actually. And so we need to get curious about why that is. See you later. Bye.